Hello, welcome. Whoa, that's hurt my throat. Hello, welcome to the Carlton Blue Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson, joined by Mat Kendrick. How are you, mate? You okay?
All right, mate. Yeah, you went a bit squeaky there, didn't you, for a minute? You've been shouting and moaning at refs and stuff, or what?
Yeah, booing mostly. Yeah, unhappy, as I'm sure most people watching or listening are. I am doing this for my parents where the Wi-Fi is a bit ropey, so we're going to try and do 20 minutes and get out of here. Thanks for those who choose to listen to this, by the way, because I'm sure many people decided to bin it off. And I was this close, and everyone says, oh, just go and have a beer and enjoy yourself. I will in about 20 minutes, but this is work, so I have to do it. You're my boss in a roundabout way, so we have to do it, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't have to make it sound as much as a duty as that. Just to be chatting football, we're all annoyed.
Let's just,
try and bring some light relief to these 163 fans who have decided to join in live. 167. There we go. There we go.
Oh, there we go. That's it. Keep it going. Keep it going. Yeah, it's fine. Look, football's you lose games, right? It's going to happen. It's bloody irritating to lose 2 at home in the Premier League back to back after losing however many it was in the whole of the calendar year last year. You know, I wanted us to have a similar record in 2026, and we've already lost 2, so it's not going great. But since Everton, we reacted well in Europe twice and away at Newcastle, right? So Villa can react well again. I'm not hearing a single. We will hear it, but I'm not kind of taking it on that. Well, that's Champions League blown. Then you know, Man United will finish 3rd and catch us, and we'll finish 7th. I'm not having any of that because we've lost a game. We might win the next 3, whatever. I hope we do. That does not excuse how poor that was, though, and how frustrating and irritating it was not to be able to break Brentford down, 10-man Brentford for 45, 55 minutes. The goal as well, the controversy that surrounds that. There's a few different talking points that are obviously the standouts. We'll try and pick a couple of positives as well, but just summarise your feelings in 60 seconds or so. How are you? How do you feel about what you've witnessed at Villa Park?
I feel frustrated for several reasons. I don't know why, but even when the sending off happened, I thought that's going to give Brentford an excuse to be Brentford, really, and to really dig in. And I'm not taking anything away from them, not just because my boss is a Brentford fan, but also I thought that they played, played pretty perfectly well, really well for what they got and the circumstances that they found themselves in. And we'd be hailing that as a wonderful away point, wouldn't we, if we'd gone and done that to somebody?
Yeah, we say this a few times when you lose a game against a team where you go, oh, they're just a crap anti-football, blah, blah. There are several solutions to winning football matches, and playing in the way Brentford do is absolutely one of them, and that's fine. They've done way better this season than most people would expect. When you're on the other side of it and every player goes down injured or with a bit of cramp and all that and a time waste, yeah, it's obviously frustrating. That's literally Brentford's job. So I'm not going to, they've won in a horrible way. I wish we won in a horrible way today. You know, they've got 3 points. We haven't. Fine.
It's the B-side of Rihanna's Found Love in a Hopeless Place. That is, won a game in a horrible way. Yeah, I think, let's say it was big moments, wasn't it? We're frustrated that the thing that really annoyed me most of all was conceding that goal on the stroke of half time, because I think all of a sudden that and the sending off cemented in Brentford's mind how they had to see out that game. Yeah, and there was still a lot of, we can talk about how blunt Villa were in a minute, second half, but Brentford still had to hold that line and hold, defend that penalty box, diligently and with great discipline. So I think that was the frustrating thing for me, that having been given the bonus of seeing the opposition reduced to 10 men, we left the back door open for them to almost kind of stamp their mark indelibly on that game. Whereas I think if we'd have been 0-0 start of the second half, I think we would have built that momentum. They probably would have had to be a little bit more adventurous. So it was that silly goal. I mean, he took it brilliantly, didn't he? It was a great finish, but the only way they were going to hurt us really was that big long ball. Yeah. And whether we were physically strong enough and ready enough to deal with it. And so it proved. And then the second half, it's just gone by in a blur for me. Work the ball out, give it to Sancho first of all. Sancho gets taken off, give it to Rodgers. But there was just nothing, there was no real threat in the box, was there?
Yeah. It's. I said to my dad on the walkout, like, the frustration of not being able to beat teams, but break them down. When you see Villa pushed up, that they're playing the game in this, 30-yard rectangle, our whole back line is right up there, right? So you've got Konsa, Torres, and whoever passing it amongst the edge of the area, like playmakers, to put the ball into the box with Buendia. Like at some point,
reverse the roles.
Yeah, like even like throw tempt. It feels a little bit like anti-Emery, which is probably why it didn't happen. Put Tyrone Mings in the box for the final 10 minutes and pump balls into him. If that's what we're doing anyway, there's more chance of bigger players winning the ball, right? Rather than just kind of hit and hope to the small lads, like Douglas Luiz and Buendia, as great as I think they are. Surely that doesn't really make sense, but they would have surely put, if I say surely one more time, they must have worked those positions in training, right? Like this small training pitch of to condense the game. We're going to play a game in within this 30-yard window. Work on breaking teams down. The frustration that we can't do that, or we don't seem to do it very often, is really bloody irritating. Because even you just take a shot and it might deflect in off somebody, and it's pass, and that lack of urgency when you're not winning is really, really irritating. So. Yeah, I've not enjoyed myself, frankly, watching the game. I was surprised for absolutely nobody. But we've had, I think it was something like 27 shots in the second half, millions of passes, the most passes we've recorded in a half for God knows how long, but we lost the game 1-0, so we couldn't get the breakthrough. That is football, but it's also, we have to be better than that. There's a comment there from King 81, where are the winnable home games coming from if we can't beat Everton and 10-man Brentford? We still have to play City, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, which most likely puts them all ahead of us, which firstly I don't agree with, but we beat City and Arsenal at Villa Park, and then we lose to Everton and Brentford. Like, I think it suits us better to play those more difficult games on paper, because they'll actually come and play and give us a chance to counter on them. When we're set up with what we're seeing today, I don't ever really see Villa play against 10 and see that as an advantage. Like, we have beat teams with 10 men, of course we have, but like it's always annoying because their job is just to sit in and defend, and we know that Villa struggle against that.
Yeah, I don't know whether Villa Stato's tweeted anything. We'll put a request in to him, if not, to find out what Villa's record in the Premier League's been like against 10 men. But listen, if you take the last two home games, we're so good at Villa Park generally that any blow to our ego feels like something really damaging and really, really devastating. But so I do think it is 6 points dropped, if I'm being honest, from the last two games. Given the form that we're in and given the company that we want to keep, I think it's 6 points dropped. Now, nobody wants to go too big a picture or all moaning about a crap defeat, but we got 3 of those points back probably by winning at Newcastle last week. Yeah. So, I don't think it means that we need to write off our hopes and our chances. I do think whoever we've got coming to Villa Park will set up in a different way to Brentford. And, why can't we go toe-to-toe with them? And why can't we beat the... Who did we say we're still going to play at Villa? Liverpool?
Some of the big boys, yeah. Like Chelsea come to Villa Park as well. That's an opportunity in a different way, isn't it, right? Like, in some ways, it's better if you're going to lose one and win one. If you lose to Everton but beat Newcastle, you stop Newcastle getting points. Lose to Brentford but beat Chelsea, it's actually a good thing, right? Because you've stopped Chelsea that specific week getting points. So if that's the way it works, fine. Villa have to, the task remains the same whether we won or lost today, win about 6 or 7 more games. There's now 1 less game to do that in. Villa's remaining run to the end of the season, is it 14 games now? We need to probably win half, maybe 7 out of 14. Winning 1 in 2 would be our worst run of the season. So we're allowed to drop off, and we can still get enough points to achieve our aim, hopefully. The idea of dropping out of the Champions League places, 3 teams need to overtake us as well. So, Man United have won again, and that gap's not as big as it was, and that's fine. But there will be a match week, I guarantee you this, where they lose and we win and the gap extends again, and it will flip-flop towards the end of the season. That is league football, right?
Yeah. So let's hope it's the match week when we get to Old Trafford.
Exactly, yeah. Well, if that's the case, even better. So, look, I'm not going to get to the season's over because we've lost a game, so that'd be absolutely foolish. We were called negative the other day for thinking, well, you know what, Villa might not be able to win the league. Yeah, because we'll lose games at some point. That's what happens. But I'm not going to write off the season and think that we're now going to bottle it and finish 7th. I think that'd be foolish. So I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, I'm angry, I'm annoyed. I was booing as much as anybody for certain periods of that game. But I'm still okay here. Moorman says, lads, you're doing mental gymnastics to stay positive. Villa are in serious trouble. That was shocking. I completely disagree. Serious trouble of what? We need to win 6 or 7 games out of 14.
Well, how long ago was it? How many months ago was it we won at Newcastle?
That's mad. Serious trouble.
Last week, wasn't it?
I don't know. I just don't. Listen, everyone's allowed their opinion, right? That's absolutely fine. What happens if we beat Bournemouth next week and Man United lose to whoever they're playing? Are we in serious trouble then? It's one game.
Sorry, I've never seen you looking so glum, Dad, to be honest.
No, I don't think Villa are in serious trouble. Serious trouble. It's one game. Come on.
Right.
Lose next 3 in a row. Yeah, okay, different.
Well, do you want to talk through some of the talking points then? Shall we
just do the VAR stuff and the goal? Because that's the talking point, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The ball might have been out. I think it
was
probably is out. Okay.
It is out.
There's no definitive angle, by the way, that was out that we've seen so far. Maybe VAR have, and this is very easily cleared up if they post the angle they've got, the aerial angle, that the whole ball is over the whole of the line. Fine. I can understand that the ball might be out of play. 19 seconds from when that ball was perceived to be out of play to Ollie Watkins, to Tammy Abraham putting the ball in the back of the net for what should be his first goal of his second Villa spell. 19 seconds. The VAR explanation that was put up on the big screen, which I think is so ridiculous it's made the thumbnail, was as follows. After VAR review, the referee overturned the on-field decision of a goal to Villa with the ball deemed to be out of play within the attacking possession phase, APP. Did you know that an attacking possession phase started on your own corner flag and lasted for 19 seconds?
Well, do you know what wound me up about that statement? Did it say the ball was factually out?
Factually out, yeah. I've not seen a factual angle yet.
Factually out as opposed to what? Metaphorically? As opposed to mythically? Yeah. What do you mean factually out?
Show us the proof that it was factually out then. Because the camera angles I've seen, it's probably out, but it's not factually out.
Well, I don't whether it's. I think it's definitely out, but the word they choose to use factually seems bizarre. I've never really heard that used before in that context. But listen, what did it say? The attacking. It was what was the phrase? ADD was he?
APP, attacking possession phase.
Well, you know, Emery Ball is based from building from the back, isn't he? So as soon as Martinez gives it to its right back, we're clearly on the attack, aren't we? That's ridiculous. I don't know how far back can I don't know the rules well enough to pick holes in them, but how far back can VAR go?
Well, at least 19 seconds. We know at the moment. I think it's absolutely outrageous. Somebody's tweeted me. So I tweeted, good to know the attacking phase of play starts at your own corner flag, thumbs up. Somebody replied with what the definition for a phase of play was from July 2019, so presumably when VAR was brought in. And 2019, maybe the things have changed since 2026, but I've not seen anything to suggest otherwise. The starting point, say the Premier League, for a phase of play that leads to a goal or penalty incident will be limited to the immediate phase and not necessarily go back to when the attacking team gained possession. Other factors for consideration will be the ability of the defence to reset and the momentum of the attack. I think Brentford have several chances to stop that goal from happening, most notably when Sancho has a shot and the keeper saves it. That's probably phase over for me, and a new phase begins, potentially. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous. If it's out, I always find these things difficult because everyone will be saying, if this went against Villa, we'd be fuming. And probably, fair enough, but that's all right. If it's out, which it probably is, show me an angle, first of all, it's definitively out, the whole of the ball and the whole of the line, fine. But 19 seconds, that's quite a while. It's also quite quick, but your webcam's gone. I'll keep going. I'm sure we can still hear you. I don't know why is there a kind of leeway that can be brought in that is the attacking phase of play is only the previous 10 seconds or the previous 15 seconds or previous 18 and a half to get us off scot-free today. Can there not be a more defined explanation of what that is? How can you who can say when an attacking phase starts or stops? How far could you go back? If the ball hasn't gone out of play for 5 minutes, would they have gone back 5 minutes to when that ball went out of play and then said, actually 5 minutes ago this happened? Do you know what I mean?
Am I still there?
You're still here, but your webcam's buggered. So just
I'm in a dark room because I'm so fed up. of that performance and that result. I don't know what's happened with my webcam now.
Just keep going.
What was
We're wrapping up in a few minutes.
What was the question while you were doing your monologue? I was messing with my settings.
There weren't a question. Just, can there be a more defined definition of what a phase of play is? And like, could you go back 5 minutes before, if the ball is in play for the whole time, before you intervene and say, "Oh, hang on a minute"? Like, surely there has to be some kind of cut-off period of how far back you can go.
I don't know. I mean, the annoying thing is that ball being out of play. Listen, if the decision's right and it's within the rules, we're just moaning for the sake of moaning it. But listen, that's a football fan's prerogative when your team's lost and you're not used to losing at Villa Park and you've got big ambitions. But that wouldn't, I don't even why I'm saying this, it won't make any difference, but that wouldn't have impacted any other thing on the pitch. You know, if a corner's given wrong or whatever, you never get that. If it should be a goal kick, if a corner's given, it should be a goal kick, and you concede from that corner. It's never taken back to there.
Yeah,
and I'd argue that is. Yeah, and I'd argue that is in an attacking whatever PP. Somebody said on the note of the comments, the referee was an APP, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but still made me giggle.
Listen, I want to clarify very quickly for those that are still with us. I am not blaming that decision for Villa not to being able to break Brentford down. They had 45 minutes plus injury time of 10 plus to go and still win the game. However, it'd be stupid not to realise that if Tammy Abraham scores and it's 1-1 just after half time, that is exactly the task we had to do. Score early. Do not allow Brentford to get it into a time-wasting, horrible game. Go back, get it level, change the game. If that goal stands, I think we win the game. So it has had an impact, but I'm not suggesting that happened in the 90th minute and everything is purely down to that. Villa still have to be better at finding ways to break these teams down, especially at home. The onus is on us. If you feel wronged by the decision, you've got lots of quality players. Go and score a couple more legitimate goals then. Stand around, turn to the ref, say, "You're going to disallow that one. Go and keep trying to kill the game." I'm not blaming that solely for the defeat, but it's absolutely a factor.
Yeah, I thought it might have given us that sense of injustice, might have powered us on a little bit more. And listen, you know, again, taking nothing away from Brentford because they defended their 18-yard box really well. I think there was some eagerness and creativity around the outside of that 18-yard box, whether it's, like I say, Sancho and Rodgers trying to work the ball, either cut inside or get to the byline. I mean, I think Sancho did it once, did he? And he did a brilliant cutback and nobody was on the end of it or whatever. I actually think getting to the byline was the way to go rather than cutting inside, because we weren't going to have much joy in the air, certainly with the personnel that we got in the box, with the exception of Tammy Abraham. But I don't think there was much going on inside that penalty box, to be honest, really. Having said that, we still created chances. You know, Rodgers has cut inside, hasn't he, and created a chance that Keller has made a good save from. Cash has had one. I think he should have hit it first time. It's easy to say in hindsight, but probably the element of surprise if he smashed it first time rather than giving Keller time to get set may have had a different outcome. Bailey, you know, I thought it was a really good move. I think it was Louise who slipped through Elliott, and then Elliott's pinged it wide right to Bailey, who's cut inside, done everything right except the finish. I think, you know, he gets that right. That's heading in the top corner. But by and large, most of the times we tried to work the ball into the box, Brentford were able to deal with it, whether that's some brave blocks, some big headers and stuff. I mean, I've not seen the stats, but I don't think they came into our half of the pitch in the second half more than 3 or 4 times, to be honest. We've had wave after wave. I wouldn't say wave after wave of attack, but we've had lots of times where we've been knocking on the door. Yeah. And ultimately, regardless of whether Bailey kept the ball in and that goal should have stood, we had more than enough time and more than enough opportunities, I think, to have scored 2 goals that would have outweighed their one goal. So I think it was poor. I mean, it's an easy thing for me to say, and it's probably Steve Bruce, Christopher Samba tactics that I'm potentially going back to here. But to me, you've got an Arner on the bench. If he's fit enough to be on the bench, I've not heard anything post match from Emery. I've not had a chance to look. But if he's fit enough to be on the bench, why don't you put him on there just as a different option? Even if he's not fully fit, he's probably only got a hover around there.
Tired muscle, Emery said. He was tired.
Why have him on the bench then?
Don't know. In case of emergencies.
Is that an emergency?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
You know, you use the phrase lightly. It's not an emergency. It's a football emergency. It's not. It's not an emergency. Likewise, Tyrone Mings.
I don't know.
With respect, I mean, I'm not deliberately trying to dig out Contra and Torres here, but I don't know how often you do see them winning the ball in the opposition box. I don't know how often you do see a Villa head winning the ball in the opposition box in terms of set pieces and stuff like that. So I would have done that, but I'm not Unai Emery. He's a tactical genius. I'm a bloke who just moans when we don't win a match at Villa Park. But it did frustrate me. I thought if he's on the bench, why not put him on there? I thought Buendia's impact faded as the game went on. I thought he was okay first half, particularly what he did. I think he battled his socks off to win the ball for when Rodgers set Tammy Abraham free, I think, in the first half, and there were a couple of good moments. But I thought second half, I don't think he had the impact. I was surprised when Sancho came off, to be honest. I thought that was probably the brightest concerted 15-minute spell we've seen from Sancho. But having said that, when he did come off, Rodgers was still, having a similar kind of impact down that left flank. Just frustrating, Dan, just disappointing, because we've overcome so many big challenges, so many hurdles, 1 points where we wouldn't have expected to win, to put us in this situation. And listen, we can't expect to have it our own way. And if Manchester United are breathing down our necks a little bit more now, guess what? That's what competing for the top four looks like. You don't always have an 8-point cushion, an 8-point advantage, and maybe that's what does sharpen us up again, and maybe that's what does get us back to basics, and we go and get a big result down at Bournemouth next week. But I think, we've been spoilt. We expect to not roll over teams, but we expect when the likes of Everton and Brentford turn up at Villa Park, that we score more goals than them and we win the game. And it was just a bit flat that didn't happen today.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Can we pick out any positives? What did you make of Douglas Luiz? Was he your man of the match from a Villa perspective?
I thought he was good. I don't know whether he was my man of the match. I thought Cash played quite well.
Yeah, I think those two would be two of my three.
I thought he was good. I thought Abraham was okay. Probably jinxed it by thanking the heavens and over celebrating, but why wouldn't you when you've scored your comeback goal and in your own mind you don't think there's anything wrong with it? So I thought he was good. I think it's good having that option. I don't know what's the Watkins injury. Is he out for long?
Not seeing anything. I did ask John for any lines while I was on the way back. He only mentioned on the VAR deadline day and 9. I said nothing about Watkins possibly in an embargoed section, maybe. I wonder whether Watkins, obviously if it's just extremely inconvenient timing, but for a player that basically is never injured to suddenly be injured the moment we've actually signed a striker who could play to replace him feels incredibly convenient. Is that an actual? Because obviously he did his whatever in the game and came off after playing on for another 10 minutes, and we thought, is that just precaution? He absolutely doesn't need to play here. Let's just get him off and hope it's nothing. Emery even said after the game, we don't think there's much to it, and he might be available for Sunday. And he's not even on the bench. Is that just get him out the firing line, give him some actual time off because Tammy Abraham can play, or is it an actual injury where he's now going to be out for X amount of weeks? Because he's never ever injured. Like, is this the kind of thing that he has been playing through because there's no one else to replace him usually?
I don't think so, because I think if Watkins could have played through it, I think he'd have been chewing the manager's ear off, because I think he'll think, well, okay, I like being the main man here. I've seen off Danny Ings, I've seen off John Duran. Anybody else? I'm just trying to think of it. I've seen off all comers. I want to be involved. I don't want to give up my shirt to Tammy Abraham. It's a muscle injury, wasn't it? Was it his hammy, wasn't it? He's done his hamstring, so I think he probably just wasn't fit enough to play, to be honest. Hopefully it is like a minor little nip rather than a kind of tear or anything. But I do expect, got another week to recover. I expect him to be involved. Not that I'm a psychic or a medical man, but I expect him to be involved. What did you think? I'm jumping all over the place here. I know we're not going to go on forever tonight. What did you think of the sending off? I thought I've seen it back, and I can understand why it was sending off. I thought Cash made a meal of it and got him sent off at first, but I think the fella's given him enough reason to show the red card.
Yeah, it was right in front of us, although I did have someone's head in the way, but you could clearly tell that he'd put something on him. It was a definite red card. The referee obviously doesn't give it immediately. I think he's probably got a voice in his ear as he's going over. But yeah, definite red, no complaints from me. And if Cash has to overplay a touch to get the man sent off, and yeah, go for it. No benefit to us whatsoever, apart from that Charlotte's not available to go and score more goals. But yeah, not change the game in the way that we'd like.
Yeah, I do enjoy a good chant of cheerio, though.
Yeah,
I do
like
waving
in front of you.
Yeah, I do like waving people down the tunnel with a chant of cheerio. I think we kind of do that with my mates as well when they're under a curfew and they've got to leave the pub early and stuff like that. I like giving them a chant of cheerio. But I think it was what is it called when you derive pleasure from somebody else's misfortune?
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude, yes.
Good. Yeah,
Exactly.
Thought you might crack that one. Hey, what did you make of?
Sorry, just while we're on the subject of chanting as well, I did like the chant that the poor rotund says this from a fellow fat man.
Yes,
the poor rotund physio got from the Holt end as he toddled past you fat beep beep. Yeah, that was
good old football banter. What did you make of Keith Andrews, who clearly seems to have Naomi's number with 3 victories in his first proper managerial job in 3 games? But I mean, rich coming for us, but he loves a moan, doesn't he?
He does love a moan. I mean, we should get him on, really. I think what particularly frustrated me was because Onana wasn't there to administer the fist pump to the Holt end. He had to go and do it to he gave the Brentford fans his 3 fist pumps, didn't he? And it's so rare that we see the away fans happy that it just kind of grinds the gears a little bit when you see that. Yeah, I think he was in the 4th official's ear quite a lot from what I could see.
A few clashes with the staff.
Yeah, you're a little bit nearer to it than me. But listen, yeah, he's done us. He seems to. Hopefully, they're not the new Crystal Palace. But yeah, he seems to have, like I said, had Emery's number a couple of times. They didn't. It's not, like I say, as much as we want and expect to win at Villa Park every week, there is another team in there that comes to do a job. I think as much as that
does happen, doesn't it? Football, you can't lose games.
Oh, as blunt as we were, there's another reason for that, and they were absolutely, like I say, super. Other than getting a fella sent off, they were super disciplined in terms of the way they defended the box. Villa just got to be better.
Yeah,
got to be better. If you don't think that you can cause a threat aerially, you've got to be better at finding a way through the lines, which is hard when you've got a team that's set in like that. But Villa will practice that. They'll rehearse situations like that, and should have been better at finding a way through, to be honest. So I'm not going to blame, although I've spent 10 minutes blaming VAR, I'm not going to blame VAR. I'm going to blame ourselves for an off day when we just didn't have enough to get over the line.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good place to sum up with 8 minutes extra than I thought we were going to do. So, Matt, thank you for joining me on this one. Hopefully our Wi-Fi connections both ends held up reasonably well. Thanks to those who tuned in live and caught up with the show. Appreciate you tuning in, whether you agree or disagree with anything we've said. That's fine. That's football. I'm hoping we'll be back in a few days, well, next Saturday, talking about a Villa win down on the South Coast, and everyone's happy, and that's what we want, right? So, yeah, fingers crossed. That'll do for this one. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to Kendrick. We'll be doing some kind of stream tomorrow. It was going to be a deadline day as the deadline passed over at 7 o'clock, but it sounds like we aren't going to do any business anyway. So who knows? Maybe plans will change. But we'll definitely be here Monday with some more Claret and Blue podcast bits and pieces.
Can I do a couple of quick shout outs? Sorry.
Go on then.
A fella called Robert E. Smith, who's messaged me on Facebook this morning. I'm not going to sing the version of some kind of Tammy Douglas Louise song that he's given me. But apparently he was due to set off today and to the match from Plymouth, but his train was cancelled apparently. So he's the lucky one. And just a shout out to one of my neighbours at Villa Park, Ben, who after the prize where it lies, it was like he decided to use AI to check out what the ultimate Villa experience was, because nobody knows what this kid's won, and apparently, so I've done it myself. The ultimate Villa experience involves a private chef, a dedicated butler, an infinity pool,
Oh, yeah.
And
Nice.
wellness suites. So the 8-year-old kid who's won that, go and fill your boots, son.
Yeah, someone's had a good day at least. Right, okay. That'll do for this episode. Thank you, Matt, for joining me. Thank you for watching along or listening, and we'll see you Monday. Bye, everyone. Oh, no, I've pressed the wrong button. Bye, everyone.